now acknowledging that you lost in
No, I
2020.
don't acknowledge it at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
So did Donald Trump lose the election not by the words that I would use? Okay?
I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF.
He was president for 4 years and he didn't go after his political opponents.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats and eating other things too that they're not supposed to be.
So everything you just heard there is 100% false. And those lies are coming from the top of the Republican Party, all in just the past couple of weeks. But how do they get away with it? Especially considering there are more fact checkers now than ever before. At the end of 2022, there were 424 fact checking websites. That's up from only 11 in 2008, according to Duke University. Yet still, why does it seem like sifting through the lies in today's politics is more difficult than ever before? And moreover, why does it feel like more people are actually believing the lies and doubling down when they do? I want to bring in Bill Adair. He is the creator of PolitiFact and the author of the brand new book, Beyond the Big Lie. And he is joining me in studio. Bill, good to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's
I
great to
gotta
be
tell
here.
you, I mean, you came up at a time in terms of PolitiFact of trying to combat the misinformation. Back then we called it lies. Now it's misinformation. And in the 2008 era in particular, that was when it started to gain a bit of a stronghold. But now it's more than ever before, in spite of all of the fact checking. Why?
Well, it does. It seems like 2008 was an innocent age, doesn't
does,
it?
yes.
And here we are with this avalanche of lies, and it's really worrisome. A few things have changed. I think one thing that affects all of particularly conservative politicians is an ecosystem in the media that is frictionless. They can lie and not have anyone challenge them. There are no consequences, and so and not only that, but often some of the companies will need to echo those lies because that affects their bottom line, and we saw that in the Dominion case against Fox, that Fox lost viewers when it didn't go along with the big lie about the 2020 election. So that's one thing that's changed. And the other thing, of course, is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not just the leader of the Republican Party, but he's a role model for so many Republican politicians who just follow what he says, will echo what he says without any regard for whether it's true.
I found it really interesting. You talk about writing this new book in part to correct a lie of your own, you say.
So I was on C-SPAN, and a caller called in on the Democratic line and said, "Hey, I've heard that Republicans lie more. Is that true?" And I said, "We don't keep score," and that was actually the lie, because I knew at the time that even then in 2012 that there was a tremendous disparity and that there were more lies on the Republican side. And so one of the reasons I wrote the book, as you indicated, is I felt like we need to have a discussion about that.
Well, why do you think that is? Obviously, there must be either some strategy or gain from doing so.
When I talk to people, former Republicans, political operatives, members of Congress, the answer was pretty consistent. One was that the culture of the party endorses lying as a way of sort of getting whatever you're trying to achieve. And they traced that back to Newt Gingrich. And they said things really changed when Newt Gingrich took the House in the early 1990s. And that changed the culture of the Republican Party.
But they would push back instantly and say, no, we don't have a culture of lying. We're not being told to lie. That you just have a different take on the views. It's our overwhelming political Rorschach test.
Sure, and I've heard complaints that fact checkers are biased ever since I started PolitiFact in 2007, and I think that's understandable. I'm a sports fan. I'm a Duke basketball fan, and I know that the referees in the Atlantic Coast Conference are biased against Duke. That they only call fouls against Duke and not against the University of North Carolina. So
I'm only laughing because everyone who's watching is like, what?
Right.
What?
So
It's exactly the opposite. But I
so
take your word.
Yeah, and I understand. So, obviously that's ridiculous. And I understand, though, by saying something like that there is passion for your team.
Last question for you, and I guess that's who is the worst liar? No, I know you're not biased here, but who is the worst liar and why? I guess by the worst, maybe it's the most effective one.
Well, I think no one comes close to Donald Trump. And, and the Washington Post fact checker Glenn Kessler has provided a great service by tracking his lies over the years. And there's just no one else that lies at the volume that he does.
Really, really fascinating. So much. Bill Adair, thank you so much. The book again is called Beyond the Big Lie.